The distress beacon of Aaron Cale's survey ship wailed for 3 torturous hours before he finally silenced its piercing cry. His hands, typically unyielding when teasing apart intricate circuitry, quivered as he clawed open the emergency panel. The resonance field that had ripped his vessel from orbit still thrummed through the hull, a relentless vibration that set his teeth on edge. Beyond the fractured viewport, Thalira's bioluminescent forest shimmered with colors no human tongue could name, azure bleeding into vermilion, then spiraling into golden patterns that pulsed in time with his racing heart. He'd studied these phenomena from orbit, dissected their data streams with clinical precision, but nothing could brace him for the raw, soul-stirring beauty of Thalira up close. Systems diagnostic, complete the ship's AI, intoned its serene voice, a stark contrast to the chaos. Primary engines, offline navigation array, offline communication systems, offline life support at 63% capacity. Real cheerful update, thanks, Aaron muttered, snatching his field kit. The irony wasn't lost on him. A systems engineer who thrived on foresight, blindsided by what he'd assumed was a mere atmospheric quirk. He sealed his environmental suit, scanning the readings, breathable air laced with spores that could spark mild hallucinations. His filters could handle that. What unnerved him more were the energy signatures flickering on his damaged sensors, moving like living entities circling his crash site with an eerie curiosity. The hatch hissed open, and Aaron stepped onto Thalira's surface for the first time. The ground wasn't Earth, but a living tapestry of fungal networks glowing faintly beneath his boots, sending ripples of light outward like a disturbed pond. Towering above structures that might be called trees loomed their crystalline bark, catching and refracting the kaleidoscopic light dancing through their canopies. He'd ventured maybe 20 meters from his wreck when she appeared. One moment the forest was a symphony of solitary light. The next a figure stood before him, as if woven from the glowing threads of Thalira itself. She was tall, her skin adorned with subtle luminescent tattoos that marked her as a Lethe. Her dark hair shimmered with fibers of living light, and her stance screamed warrior weight, poised on the balls of her feet, one hand resting on the curved blade at her hip. Collector, she spat the word, dripping with disdain, her accent twisting human speech into a melody both haunting and hostile. You crash clumsily for one who comes to plunder. I'm no collector, Aaron said, raising his hands to show empty palms. I'm Aaron Kyle, systems engineer, independent mediator. My ship hit some kind of resonance field, and I'm not here to steal. She circled him with the grace of a predator, the forest lights trailing her movements, casting a radiant halo around her form. Show me your extraction tools, your contracts. Prove it. I don't have extraction gear, he insisted, gesturing toward his ruined ship. My manifest's open source. Every tool I carry has a transparent log. I was headed to the Colonial Arbitration Summit when your planet's field snared me. She paused, head tilted, her eyes, catching his irises flecked with gold that danced like captured starlight far from human standard. The summit, she said, her voice sharp, where they schemed to bottle our world's breath and sell it to dying colonies. So she knew about the Solvex Consortium's biocredit scheme. That was both a relief and a warning. Tensions were higher than his briefings had suggested. Colorful way to put it, Aaron said cautiously. But yeah, I know their proposal. I was actually here to take baseline readings before they try to turn your people into living batteries. Her hand tightened on her blade's hilt, and her skin's luminous patterns flared brighter with her intensity. Before they measure every photon we emit, assign it a credit value, decide which of our children resonate enough to stay and which must leave for their optimization. Her passion caught him off guard. His briefings had painted the Alethi as stoic, bound by tradition, but this woman burned with a fire that seemed to ignite the very air. You know more about Solvex's plans than most colonial powers, he said, impressed. I'm Aaron, and I'm here to ensure Thalira doesn't become another casualty of their greed. I am Sarathan, guardian of the Western Harmonic Gates, she declared, stepping closer, her gaze piercing. It's my duty to understand threats to our world. And you, Aaron Cale, haven't explained why your peaceful vessel carries a military-grade resonance amplifier. His blood ran cold. How could she know your ship sings its secrets to the forest, she said, as if reading his thoughts. Did your briefings not warn you? Thalira herself is aware every encrypted photon resonates with her consciousness. Aaron reached slowly for his pack. The amplifier is not a weapon. It's a tool for mapping resonance in real time to prove Solvex's extraction would scar your world permanently. His fingers grazed the activation switch by mistake, and the device hummed to life. The forest response was instant and cataclysmic. Trees within 100 meters blazed a furious red, their crystalline bark vibrating with a frequency that made reality itself quiver. The fungal network beneath erupted in crimson warning patterns, racing outward like a virus through a neural net. Sarathan moved faster than his eyes could track. One moment she was 3 meters away. The next her weight slammed him to the ground. The amplifier skittered from his grasp, its electronic wail still assaulting the hypersensitive biome. He tried to explain to reach the off switch, but she pinned his arms, her eyes reflecting the tree's red glare like twin infernos. For a frozen moment they were locked there, her face inches from his breast, ragged in the charged air. Then she bit him. Her teeth sank into the junction of his neck and shoulder, piercing his suit with alarming ease. Pain lanced through him, sharp and searing, but something else followed, a tidal wave of connection to the forest. Colors beyond imagination flooded his vision, emotions not his own crashing through his mind like a storm. The amplifier's battery finally died, and the forest's crimson fury faded to its natural shifting palette. Sarathan pulled back, a drop of his blood glistening on her lips, her warrior's composure shattered. "You resonate," she whispered, stunned. "That's impossible. Humans don't." Aaron propped himself on his elbows, hand clutching the throbbing wound. "Ow, if you wanted a keepsake, you could have just asked." His absurd quip seemed to pierce her shock. She stared, then let out a sound, half laugh, half curse in her native tongue. "You jest at a moment like this," she said, incredulous. "Do you even grasp what happened? I bit you because I thought you attacked Thalira. Your employee handbook must be wild," he said, sitting up, the pain dulling to a rhythmic pulse. "What did you mean by resonate?" She stood pacing with restless energy, her luminescent markings flickering through a spectrum that hinted at her roiling emotions. "The bite is an ancient defense from before we forged metal blades. Our ancestors could merge their consciousness with Thalira's through blood and intent, overwhelming invaders with her will. But it only works on those with resonance markers. No off-worlder has ever survived it, let alone mocked it." Aaron retrieved his dead amplifier, its circuits fried from the overload. First time for everything he said meeting her gaze. "You're right, I felt it. Something vast, ancient, beautiful. Like I was inside the forest's mind, or it was in mine. Hard to describe." "You're describing what every Elythi child feels at their first communion," she said, her starlit eyes narrowing. "Who are you, Aaron Kale? No mere engineer carries tools that make forests scream. No human should survive the blood bond, much less harmonize with it." "I told you the truth," he said steadily. "I'm a systems engineer here to protect the Lyra from the bio-credit markets. But yeah, there's more to it." He thought of Elira, his sister, her hidden research into ancient markers and dormant genes, the real reason he'd come to Thalira, beyond any official mission. "Maybe it's not as impossible as you think." Sarathan's hostility softened to wary curiosity. "Your ship's done for," she said, nodding at the wreck. The resonance field scrambled its navigation crystals. "You're stuck here, strange human who resonates. The mothers are matriarchs who commune with the Lyra's deepest roots, will want to examine you. They'll have questions about how a human carries our world's song in his blood." "So do I." She turned, striding deeper into the forest, then paused, glancing back. "Follow Aaron Kyle, or stay with your dead ship and let the forest decide if you're food or friend. But know this, you're stepping into Thalira's heart. Secrets sleep there, and some may stir at your presence." The smart move was to stay to tinker with the comms array and signal for rescue. But the bite wound pulsed with each step, and Aaron felt the forest's gaze like a tangible weight. Shouldering his pack, he followed her. So he called out, "Are all your diplomatic greetings this toothy, or am I just special?" She didn't turn, but her shoulders shook with what might have been a stifled laugh. "You joke to mask fear, very human of you." "I'm not afraid," he shot back. "No." She glanced back, her markings shimmering with amusement. "You should be. You're the first human to carry Thalira's essence in your blood. That makes you either blessed or cursed. The mothers will decide." They walked in silence, the forest closing around them, its ancient trees bearing crystalline bark that seemed woven from frozen equations. Creatures flickered in the canopy, mere ripples in the light patterns, alien, breathtaking, and subtly menacing. "Why didn't you kill me?" Aaron asked after a time. "You thought I was attacking. Your blade would have been easier." Sarathan was quiet so long, he thought she'd ignore him. Then Thalira teaches that death is a failure of communication. "I meant to drown you in her voice to make you feel your trespass through connection, not steel. I didn't expect—" She hesitated. "I didn't expect you to sing." She stopped facing him fully. "When our blood mingled, you didn't just receive Thalira's will, you harmonized with it. Do you grasp how impossible that should be?" He thought of Elira's research, the encrypted files about ancient markers, the reason he had really come to Thalira. "Maybe not as impossible as you think," he said softly, his voice carrying the weight of unspoken truths. Sarathan's starlit eyes narrowed, a storm of suspicion brewing in their golden flecks. "You know something," she said, her voice low, cutting through the forest's hum. "Something about why you resonate." Aaron's lips quirked, masking the unease her proximity stirred. "I've got theories, but I'm not spilling them to someone who might sink her teeth into me again." "I won't bite you again," Sarathan snapped, genuine offense flashing across her face. "The blood bond is sacred, unbreakable, unrepeatable. We're bound now for better or worse. Your pain, your journey, your lies." She stepped closer, so close he could smell the electric tang of ozone and the wild sweetness of honey on her. The golden flecks in her eyes spun faster like miniature galaxies caught in a tempest. "Your lies I can taste. So speak truth, Aaron Kale. Why did you really come to Thalira?" Her nearness was a jolt, her skin's luminescent patterns pulsing in sync with her heartbeat, mirroring the throb of his bite wound. For a fleeting moment, Thalira's vast consciousness pressed against his mind, a tidal wave of alien awareness. "My sister," he said, the words torn from him like a confession. "Elira. She died exposing industrial espionage in the outer colonies. Solvex was involved." He swallowed hard, grief tightening his throat. "I came here because they can't be allowed to do to your world what they did to her." Sarathan studied him, her gaze piercing through to his core. Then she nodded, slow and deliberate. "Truth," she said, her hand touching her chest, where his sorrow echoed through their bond. "Your grief burns like acid rain. I'm sorry for your loss." "Thanks," Aaron said, surprised by the sincerity in his own voice. "So what now?" "Your mother's examined me, decide if I'm blessed or cursed," and then she said, resuming her stride, her pace less predatory. "Now we see if the human who carries Thalira's song can outwit his own kind to stop them from stealing our mother's breath." "The summit was 3 days away," she explained, her voice laced with disdain. "Solvex has been wooing our conservative elders, those who fear change more than chains. They dangle promises of prosperity resources to stem the tide of climate refugees flooding the border worlds. Pretty lies cloaking ugly truths. You know their playbook well," Aaron remarked, impressed by her sharpness. "I guard the Western Harmonic gates," she said, her tone fierce. "I see the refugees your dying world send humans, Alarians, even Morgothi, all fleeing the biosphere, collapses your corporations caused. And now those same corporations come here, offering salvation if we let them package and sell our life force." They emerged into a clearing where the fungal network wove intricate mandalas, each pulsing with unique frequencies of light like living art. At its center stood a structure not built, but grown, its crystalline walls flowing like liquid starlight, mirroring the tree's radiant bark. "The resonance station," Sarathan said, her voice tight. "Solvex claimed it monitors life pulse credit potential. They insisted on installing them for their assessment. We were fools to allow it." Aaron pulled out his scanner, one of the few devices still functional. "May I?" At her nod, he swept the instrument over the structure, and the readings made him whistle low. "They're not just monitoring. This thing's manipulating the local fields, weaving artificial patterns to optimize output. It's subtle, but they're already terraforming." What Sarathan leaned over his shoulder, her warmth brushing against him, electric and unsettling. "Explain, simple words, I bite not code." He grinned despite the stakes. "They're training your forest like a neural net, rewarding certain resonance patterns, stifling others. Over time, it'll reshape your ecosystem into a life pulse credit factory, like turning a rainforest into a monoculture farm, but at the quantum level." Her markings flared a furious red, a beacon of her rage. The elders were told these stations only observed. "This is exactly what Solvex does." Aaron cut in, his voice hardening. They promise partnership, but deliver servitude, always with airtight contracts and local consent. They're masters at finding a society's pressure points and pressing just hard enough. Not this time, Sarathan growled, her hand back on her blade. Not to Thaliro. Violence won't stop them, Aaron warned. They'll spin it as proof the Alethi are too primitive to manage their own resources. We need to expose them, drag their lies into the light where everyone can see. And you think one human with a wrecked ship and a fresh bite mark can do that? Her tone was skeptical, but her eyes held a spark of curiosity. He thought of Elira's files hidden in his ship's black box evidence. She died to gather proof of Solvex's biocredit exploitation, whispers of other engineers across the Vionis colonies who shared his fight, and Lyra Vane, the journalist already en route to the summit. Maybe not alone, he said, a glint in his eye, but I'm damn good at finding allies in unexpected places. Speaking of which, know any Alethi who'd want to learn how to crack Solvex's data manipulation? Turn their own tools against them. Sarathan's gaze turned speculative, weighing him. You'd teach us your technology because the best way to fight a system is to understand it. He gestured to the bite wound, no longer bleeding, but pulsing with alien sensations. And because apparently we're connected now, your fight's mine whether I planned it or not. The blood bond doesn't work like that, she said, though her voice softened. It shares sensation, emotion, not obligation. Maybe Aaron replied, but I came to help anyway. Now I've got extra reason to keep you alive. Hard to explain to your mothers why their guardian tastes like regret and stale coffee in my head. I do not taste like coffee, she protested, then caught the absurdity of her words, a faint smile breaking through. This is strange. I've bitten invaders before, but their minds were rigid, brittle. They felt the lyra as pain, not a symphony. You're different. Story of my life, he said, pocketing the scanner. So do we smash this station now or wait till your mothers decide if I'm blessed? Neither, she said firmly. If your claims hold, we need it intact as evidence. But first you face the mothers. Their tests will make my bite feel like a caress. Are you ready? He considered it, his mind flicking to Elira's warnings about his rigid thinking, his tendency to cling to logic over instinct. He'd come to Thalira armed with tech and legal strategies, not expecting a mystical bond that rewrote his very being. I'm ready, he said at last. One question, though. Is biting a standard Alethi greeting? Should I update my vaccinations if everyone's going to want to nibble? Her laugh rang out clear and melodic like wind chimes in a soft breeze. Her markings glowed warm gold, and through their bond, he felt her amusement tinged with surprise, as if laughter was a rare indulgence. You're a strange one, Aaron Kale, she said. Most humans meet the unknown with fear or fists. You crack jokes. Humor's how we handle existential terror, he shot back. That and caffeine, which I'll miss if Thalira doesn't have coffee. We have something better, she said, her eyes glinting. Resonance tea. It'll either open your mind to new planes of consciousness or make you see sound for 3 days. Delightful, he deadpanned. They moved on, leaving the station behind, the forest growing denser, older, more alive. The bite wound pulsed a conduit, feeding him glimpses of Thalira's vast thought networks, dwarfing even the most intricate human systems. Tell me about your sister, Sarathan said suddenly. Elira, you called her. He glanced at her, startled. How did you? The bond, she said softly. When you spoke her name, it blazed in your mind like a wound. She meant everything to you. She was everything, Aaron admitted, his voice heavy with memory. 5 years older, 50 times smarter. She taught me systems aren't just code and circuits. They're about people, the invisible threads shaping lives. She was digging into Solvex's schemes in the Vionis colonies when they killed her. A catastrophic decompression event, forensics called it. Just another outer colony accident. His tone turned bitter, except she sent me an encrypted message the night before saying she'd found something big. Her files were corrupted when they recovered her effects, but I've been piecing them together. She uncovered how Solvex twists life pulse credits to enslave entire worlds. Sarathan was silent for a moment, then spoke. And you seek not vengeance, but exposure. That's not what I expected from a grieving brother. Elira wouldn't want blood, he said. She'd want justice, the system that killed her dismantled, rebuilt into something better. A sad smile crossed his face. She'd also tell me to stop brooding and find someone to share bad jokes with. I think she'd have liked you. You've both got that I could end you but choose not to vibe. I'm honored by the comparison to your warrior sister, Serethin, said, her hand grazing his shoulder. Through their bond, a pulse of genuine sympathy flowed warm and grounding. My own sisters fell, defending the northern gates from crystal poachers. I know the weight of carrying their fight. They walked in quiet companionship, their shared griefs weaving a fragile bridge between them. The forest shifted its wild chaos, giving way to an ordered magnificence, as if Thalira herself was preparing them for what lay ahead. We're nearing the Nexus Grove, Serethin said. From here you must follow my steps exactly. The path shifts with each visitor's intent. One misstep, and the forest might relocate you. Relocate, Aaron raised an eyebrow. To where? We usually find the skeletons eventually, she said, deadpan. Reassuring, he muttered, but her serious expression stopped him cold. Listen, she said, turning to face him fully. The mothers see through all deception. They'll know your true purpose, your deepest desires. If there's anything you're holding back, tell me now. Aaron weighed his options. Caution urged him to guard his secrets, to play the safe hand. But the blood bond made lies feel like a betrayal, not just of Serethin, but of himself. There's more, he admitted. Elira's research suggested some humans carried dormant genetic markers, letting them resonate with certain biofields. She thought they were introduced generations ago, maybe, by early colonists who bonded with worlds like Thalira. I think our family might carry those markers. Serethin's eyes widened, shock rippling through their bond. That would explain, but no, it's impossible. Resonance markers are sacred, unique to each world. They can't be stolen or transferred. What if they weren't stolen, he countered. What if they were given? She shook her head, but doubt crept into her expression. The mothers will know. They remember every gift Thalira has bestowed, every bond she's forged. If you're right, she paused, her voice softening. Then you're not the invader I thought. You might be something else entirely. What, he asked, holding her gaze. Maybe, he said quietly, the words heavy with meaning. I'm coming home. The statement hung between them, charged with possibility. Through their bond, Aaron felt her shock, her confusion, and something deeper, hope tangled with fear, her emotions blending with his until they were nearly indistinguishable. Finally, she nodded. Then let's see what the mothers make of you, Aaron Kyle. Aaron Kale, who might be coming home, Serethin said, her voice a low warning laced with wonder. But hear me if you're wrong. If this is some elaborate ruse, Thalira's rejection will be merciless, and so will I. I'd expect nothing less. Aaron replied, his tone steady despite the weight of her words. She turned her steps deliberate as she carved a path toward the Nexus Grove, each movement precise as if dancing with the planet's will. Aaron followed, mirroring her every step, trying not to dwell on tales of skeletons lost in dimensional rifts. The bite wound pulsed with his heartbeat, and he could almost hear Thalira whispering his name, or perhaps Elira's, a ghostly echo in the forest's song. There was no retreat now. He'd crashed onto this world seeking justice for his sister, a shield against Solvex's exploitation. But with each step deeper into Thalira's heart, he sensed a greater destiny unfolding far beyond corporate greed or personal vengeance. The trees of the Nexus Grove loomed before them, ancient beyond time, their crystalline structures twisting space itself into intricate patterns. At their heart stood three figures, serene as stone, yet alive with the awareness of stars, the mothers who would judge whether Aaron Kyle was a blessing or a curse. His hand drifted to the bite wound, its throb sinking with the grove's energy. Through their bond, he felt Serethin's tension warring with fragile hope, a quiet comfort that he wasn't facing this alone, even if his companion had introduced herself with teeth in his flesh. If this goes south, he murmured, I need you to know something. What? Her lips curved, a flicker of warmth in her warrior's facade. You definitely don't taste like coffee, more like starlight laced with sharp blades. He chuckled despite the stakes. And you taste of sorrow, determination, and something I can't name yet. Probably your coffee obsession leaving its mark, she teased, her smile softening the moment. They reached the grove's threshold, where reality thickened, blurring into something otherworldly. Shapes moved beyond trees, or perhaps entities older and stranger still. Ready? Serethin asked, her voice steady, but her eyes searching his. Aaron thought of Elira, of justice delayed but not denied, of worlds bled dry by greed of a bite that had forged impossible connections, and of the fierce woman beside him, burning like a star. Ready, he said, stepping into the judgment awaiting him. The Nexus Grove existed beyond human perception, a realm where dimensions overlap, pressing against Aaron's senses like a weight behind his eyes, tingling in bones he hadn't known he possessed. The trees here weren't merely ancient, they were foundational, their crystalline roots weaving through layers of reality like threads in a cosmic tapestry. Three mothers sat in a triangular formation, each at the base of a tree, vast enough to cradle a city. Their robes shimmered like woven starlight, and their skin bore bioluminescent patterns, so intricate they seared the eyes to behold. Sarathan Ilith, the centermost mother, intoned her voice, a harmony of impossible chords resonating with the grove's pulse. You bring us a marvel, a human who survived the blood bond, who makes our mother world sing in frequencies unheard since the first planting. Sarathan bowed deeply, pulling Aaron down with her. Elder Mother Miris, she said, I present Aaron Kyle. He claims to be a systems engineer, yet he carries the ancient markers. Another mother leaned forward, her eyes glinting with curiosity. Dormant for generations, awakened by your bite. Fascinating. Stand, young human. Let us see what dreams flow in your blood. Aaron rose, meeting their timeless gazes with as much resolve as he could muster. The bite wound thrummed in rhythm with the grove's energy, and through his bond with Sarathan, he felt her pride tinged with apprehension. Tell us, Elder Marys commanded, why you believe you are coming home. The words poured from him as if Thalira herself drew them forth. He spoke of Alira, her relentless pursuit of biofield resonance, and genetic markers of families drawn to frontier worlds where life and technology blurred. Of his own uncanny knack for systems that felt alive, humming with purpose beyond circuits. My sister believed he concluded that early colonists didn't just visit worlds like Thalira, they forged bonds deep enough to rewrite their genes. She thought our family descended from those ambassadors. The mothers exchanged glances, their silent exchange heavy with unspoken dialogue. Elder Mary's rose, her movements fluid, defying her ancient presence. She approached, one hand extended toward his face. May I, she asked, though refusal was clearly no option. Her fingers cool as starlight touched his temple, and Aaron was no longer himself but everyone. He saw Thalira millennia ago, a young untamed world pulsing with life. He saw skyborne visitors, their ships singing harmonies that delighted the planet's mind. He witnessed ceremonies of bonding, where chosen souls received the gift of resonance to carry to their kind. And then betrayal, those gifts twisted into tools of exploitation, bonds shattered for profit. Thalira's trust splintered like crystalline bark under a poacher's blade. When the vision faded, Aaron was on his knees, gasping, Sarathan's hand on his shoulder, her concern flowing through their bond like a soothing stream. He carries the marker true, Elder Marys declared, diluted by time, dormant until awakened but genuine. His ancestors stood here, once judged worthy of Thalira's gift. Yet we thought that line lost. Broken, the third mother said, when the Astralis group, Solvex's predecessor, perverted our trust into chains. Not lost, Aaron managed, rising shakily. Hidden. My family never spoke of it, but we had traditions, odd rituals. Live on worlds with living systems. Never take more than you give. Trust the machine that breathes. He laughed unsteady. I thought they were just frontier quirks. Your sister knew better, Elder Marys observed. She sought her heritage when the exploiter silenced her. And now you walk her path for revenge, for justice, Aaron corrected, his voice firm. To stop Solvex from doing to Thalira what they've done to countless worlds. The Life Pulse credit system isn't about trading carbon anymore. It's a weapon turning biospheres into commodities to be packaged, sold, stripped bare. We know their proposals, Elder Mary said. Some younger elders see partnership in their terms, resources to aid climate refugees, defenses against worse predators. They see salvation where you see slavery. Then they're not reading the fine print, Aaron said, offering his datapad. I've studied 17 worlds under Solvex's Life Pulse agreements or their predecessors. Within 50 years, everyone suffered ecological collapse. They extract maximum value, then abandon dead worlds and displace people. The mothers pored over the data, their patterns flickering with concern. Sarathan leaned in her markings, mirroring their distress as she read. This is damning, she said. But will it sway the conservatives who fear change more than death? Then we give them something immediate to fear, Aaron said. Solvex's resonance stations aren't just measuring, they're manipulating the biofield, optimizing for life pulse yield. It's unauthorized terraforming, a breach of even their preliminary agreements. Elder Myries returned the pad. You speak of proof. Can you show this to those who feel harmony but don't grasp your technology? I can do better, Aaron said, his voice brimming with resolve. I can teach your people to see the manipulation themselves, to understand Solvex's game. Give me a few days and volunteers, and I'll build a system to translate their data tampering into resonance patterns anyone can read. Bold words from an uninvited guest, the second mother said. Why trust you? Your marker could be stolen, your sister's tale a ploy for our sympathy. Before Aaron could answer, Sarathan stepped forward. Because I've tasted his truth through the blood bond. His grief for Elira burns pure. His rage at the exploiters runs deeper than any lie could reach. She hesitated, then added, when I bid him, Thalera herself sang welcome. Our mother world knows him, even if we don't yet understand why. The mothers conferred their patterns, weaving complex geometries in silent communion. Finally, Elder Mary spoke. You have 3 days. Sarathan will gather volunteers from our young technicians. If you can make our people see Solvex's deception, we'll back you at the summit. Fail, and you leave Thalira at once. And if Solvex's manipulations are worse than I suspect, Aaron asked, if 3 days aren't enough to undo their damage, then work fast, Elder Mary said, her smile revealing too many teeth. Sarathan, take our unexpected cousin to the resonance pools. Let him prove his technology serves rather than enslaves. Dismissed with a gesture, the grove shifted, revealing the path out. As they walked, Sarathan's fingers brushed the bite mark on Aaron's shoulder, a fleeting touch that sent warmth through their bond. You did well, she said. The mothers aren't easily swayed, but you spoke truth without polish. That's rare for your kind. My kind. Aaron raised an eyebrow, a playful edge to his voice. Didn't we just establish I'm part your kind? Distant cousin, right? She laughed, a sound that warmed his chest like a hearth. You're the strangest cousin I've ever bitten. Come, the resonance pools await, and you've got promises to keep. The resonance pools were a marvel of organic engineering nestled in a clearing north of the Nexus Grove. Interconnected basins glowed with fungal networks shaped into natural amphitheaters, where young Alethi sat, hands immersed in luminous substrate, communing directly with Thalira's vast consciousness. This is how we teach our children, Sarathan explained as they approached. Not with books or screens, but through the living world. I'm curious to see how your mechanical mind translates here. A group of about 20 young adults awaited their expressions, ranging from intrigued to skeptical. A tall young man with engineer's markings on his arms stepped forward, his tone sharp. You're the human claiming to teach us to fight the consortium's machines, he said. I'm Terran, student of resonance and mineral matrices. Explain how your lifeless tech can sync with our living systems. Aaron set down his pack, pulling out his devices with practiced ease. First, let's find common ground. Your resonance patterns are biological quantum fields shifting with environment and intent. My tech reads electromagnetic signatures. Different languages, same truth. He activated a modified scanner, holding it over a pool. Its screen flared with scrolling data. This is your pool through my lens. Now watch. With a few tweaks, the pool pulsed in sync with his data stream, a dance of light and code. The students leaned in, captivated despite their doubts. Terran's skepticism wavered. You're translating digital patterns into resonance flows. Exactly, Aaron said. And I can teach your pools to spot when outside tech tries to tamper with them. He produced a small transmitter, a weaker version of Solvex's tools. When I activate this, the pool's glow shifted, taking on a sickly green hue. Several students yanked their hands back, alarmed. It feels wrong, a young woman said, like the pool's stuttering. That's your natural resonance being forced into patterns optimized for life pulse extraction, Aaron explained. Now let me show you how to trace it back to its source. He spent hours teaching, weaving complex tech concepts into the Alethi's organic language, a grueling task that stretched his mind in ways it wasn't built for. The bite wound was more than a mark, it was a bridge, sparking flashes of insight into how the Alethi saw their world, a symphony of light and life woven into their very being. Sarathan stood at the edge of the group, her guardian stance a mask for the fascination glinting in her starlit eyes. Through their bond, Aaron felt her excitement flare as the students began to unravel the concepts he taught. It's like tasting poison in a clear stream, Terran said abruptly, his hands aglow as he traced a manipulation signal back to Aaron's transmitter, his markings pulsing with triumph. Once you know the flavor, it's unmistakable. Exactly, Aaron said, his voice steady with conviction. Solvex has been tainting Thalira's resonance field so subtle you might not notice until the damage is done. But now you can see it, and more, you can document it in ways that'll hold up at the summit. As Thalira's sun dipped low, its light splintering through the crystalline canopy into a sky painted with impossible hues, the students worked with newfound autonomy, crafting detection algorithms within the resonance pool's organic computing matrix. You didn't lie, Taryn said, approaching Aaron with a grudging respect. This knowledge is power. But why give it freely? What's in it for you? Aaron's thoughts drifted to Alira. Her fierce belief that knowledge should be shared, that transparency was the sharpest blade against exploitation. I gain allies, he said simply, and if we pull this off, I keep another world from joining the graveyard of Solvex's greed. As the students scattered their chatter alive with excitement, Sarathan approached, her gaze softening. You need rest food and probably something for that bite wound you keep touching. It doesn't hurt, Aaron protested, then caught his hand lingering on the mark. It just tingles, like a reminder of what she asked, her voice gentle but probing. That I'm not alone in this anymore, he admitted, the words slipping out with raw honesty. Her eyes held his for a moment, then she nodded. Come, my home's close. You'll eat something better than your compressed nutrition paste. Her dwelling was a marvel of organic engineering grown from a single colossal tree, its rooms and corridors shaped by Thalira's living will. Bioluminescent panels cast a warm glow, the walls breathing subtly to filter air and cradle warmth. You live alone? Aaron asked, noting the sparse decor, the absence of personal touches. Since your sisters fell. Yes, Sarathan said, moving to a kitchen-like alcove, retrieving containers from storage that opened at her touch. Guardian duty leaves little room for family. We're weapons first, people will second. That sounds lonely, he said, his voice soft with empathy. She paused, her hands stilling. And yet, don't you live the same way, wandering worlds, waging war on Solvex, carrying your sister's mission like a shield? The truth of her words stung closer than he wanted to admit. Touched or tasted through the bond, he asked, deflecting with a half-smile. Both, she said, handing him a bowl that smelled divine, its contents shimmering like captured sunset. Eat. Tomorrow we hit the resonance stations to gather evidence. You'll need strength. The food was a revelation, flavors bypassing his tongue to stir memories. Childhood meals with Ilera. Her laughter at his botched cooking, promises of caution, they'd both broken. You're leaking, Sarathan said softly, her own bowl untouched, as she sat across from him. What's your emotions, she said. Through the bond, you're projecting memories of her. She hesitated, her markings dimming with regret. I'm sorry, the connection is new. I shouldn't feel your private thoughts. It's okay, Aaron said, meaning it. It's nice actually having someone else carry her memory even secondhand. She was alone when she died. No one should be. Sarathan reached across her fingers, brushing his hand, a pulse of connection surging through their bond, her own grief for her lost sisters mingling with his. For a moment they sat in shared silence, two souls bound by loss to violence and greed. Tell me about your sisters, Aaron said gently. Her voice came haltingly, at first, then warmed. Her sisters were warriors too, but unlike her precise control, they'd been wild, their laughter like a storm. They died defending a sacred grove from crystal poachers, holding the line until help arrived. They'd have found you amusing, she said. Kira especially. She always said humans burn bright because they burn brief. Morbid but poetic, Aaron said. I like her already. They talked deep into the night, swapping stories, their rhythms sinking through the bond's hum, an intimacy that should have felt alien, but didn't. When Sarathan showed him to a guest alcove, its sleeping platform molding to his form, Aaron hesitated. Thank you, he said, for the food, the shelter, the understanding. She paused at the doorway, her markings flickering with uncertainty. Tomorrow's dangerous. Solvex stations have automated defenses. If they catch us gathering evidence, we'll face it together, he said. That's what allies do, right? Allies, she echoed, testing the word. Yes. Sleep well, Aaron Kyle. Tomorrow the real fight begins. Sleep eluded him. The tree home's gentle breathing was soothing, but his mind raced 3 days to gather evidence, to sway a planetary council, to expose a conspiracy spanning stars, to honor Elira's memory, with justice, not vengeance. Through the bond, he felt Sarathin's own restlessness, her warrior's instincts, sharpening for battle. It was a strange comfort knowing another soul shared the weight of tomorrow. Dawn on Thalira was a symphony of light crystalline trees splintering the sun's first rays into cascading rainbows. Erin woke to find Sarathin ready at her guardian armor, a fusion of grown crystal and organic fibers, making her look like a living blade. "Breakfast," she said, handing him a steaming container. "And these." She offered clothing blending his environmental suit with Alethi elegance. "Your human gear," screams outsider. "These will help you blend." The fabric fit like a second skin, breathing with him, tying him closer to the forest pulse. "How do I look?" he asked. "Like a very tall, very pale Alethi." With odd eyes, she said, a faint smile curving her lips. "It'll do. Come. We've got 3 stations to check before midday." "I've asked Terran to meet us at the first with his best students." They set out the paths shifting beneath their feet, guided by Thalira's will. Sarathin moved with unerring confidence, her bond with the planet steering her steps. Erin matched her pace, the bite wound pulsing in rhythm with their stride. The first resonance station sat in a clearing, its fungal network twisted into complex spirals. Even from afar, Erin saw the wrongness, the natural flows warped into rigid channels feeding the station's collectors. Terran and 5 students were already there, their tools a striking blend of Erin's tech and Alethi organics. "We've been monitoring since dawn," Terran reported, his markings steady. The manipulations subtle but consistent, forcing the network to overproduce some frequencies while choking others. "Show me," Erin said, pulling out his instruments. The data was worse than he'd feared. The station wasn't just optimizing for life pulse credits, it was rewriting the ecosystem's core code, turning the clearing into a biological factory. "This is criminal," a student whispered. "They're not harvesting Thalira's energy, they're enslaving it. Can we document this for the council?" Sarathin asked, her voice tight. Erin nodded, grim. "We can do better, Terran. Can your team map the natural patterns, what they should be without interference?" "Give us an hour," Terran said, his markings flaring with resolve. While the students worked, Erin and Sarathin probed the station. Its shields were formidable, but Erin had spent years cracking Solvec's security. The logs chilled his blood. "They're in phase 2, he told Sarathin quietly. "This isn't just assessment, they're terraforming, prepping Thalira for full-scale extraction. The summit's not about negotiation, it's about getting retroactive approval for what they've already started." Her markings blazed violent red fury pulsing through their bond. "Those lying manipulative," she switched to Alethi, words Erin didn't know, but felt sharp and venomous through their connection. "We need evidence from all 3 stations," he said, "a pattern of deliberate deception. Can you get us to the next site fast?" Her smile was sharp, dangerous. "Hold on." She pressed her hand to a crystalline trunk, speaking a word that made reality stutter. Colors bled into impossible shapes and the world twisted. Erin stumbled as they landed elsewhere, disoriented. "What the hell was that?" The fast-pass Sarathin said, studying him. "Thalira grants her guardians shortcuts, but taking an unbonded human through is unprecedented. You okay?" "Like I've been turned inside out and dunked in liquid starlight," he said, checking his gear. Relieved it still worked. "Let's not make that a habit." The second station revealed the same manipulation, but worse, local wildlife suffered. Birds with crystalline feathers spiraled in confusion, their glow dim. Small mammals in the fungal networks moved sluggishly, their luminescence fading. "They're killing it," Sarathin said, her voice thick with grief. "Slowly, subtly, but they're killing our world." "Not if we stop them," Erin said, resolute. "One more station, then we build a presentation even the most stubborn elder can't ignore." The third station sat near an Alethi settlement, its effects stark. Children played listlessly at the forest's edge. Adults spoke of headaches, dreams stolen from another's mind. "This is Solvex's way," Erin said, downloading the station's data. "They don't just take resources, they drain life itself, leaving husks that may never recover." "I want to destroy it," Sarathin admitted, her hand on her blade. "Every instinct screams to cut this infection from Thalira." "That's what they want," Erin warned. "Violence gives them an excuse to escalate, to call the Alethi too primitive to manage their resources. We fight with truth, it cuts deeper than any blade." They took the fast path back to Terran's team, reality warping like a fever dream. The students had crafted a 3-dimensional resonance map, contrasting healthy flows with corrupted ones in vivid detail. This is brilliant, Aaron said, studying their work. Anyone who sees this will get it, but Solvex will have countermeasures at the summit. Then we make our own, Terran said. Guardian Sarathan, with your permission, we'd like to try something bold. A live display channeled through volunteers showing the corruption in real time. Sarathan's eyes widen. That's dangerous. Channeling corrupted resonance could harm you permanently. Not if we filter it through someone who can handle the dissonance, Terran said, looking at Aaron. Someone who bridges our worlds, who knows the tech and carries the markers. You want me to be a living translator? Aaron said, grasping the plan. Channel the corrupted patterns through my nervous system, make them visible for the council. Can you do it? Sarathan asked, concern pulsing through their bond. He considered it. It would hurt, maybe scar him permanently, but it would be undeniable, a truth Solvex couldn't dodge. I can, he said, but we need to practice, and I'll need an anchor to pull me back if the corruption runs too deep. I'll anchor you, Sarathan said instantly. Through the blood bond, I won't let you fall. They spent the day preparing word of their discoveries, spreading like wildfire. By evening, hundreds of Alethi gathered, their anger controlled, but fierce, a people who knew survival meant playing the enemy's game until they could rewrite the rules. Elder Miris appeared at sunset, her ancient eyes sweeping over the crowd, the equipment, the resolve. You've surpassed expectations, Aaron Kyle, she said. But Solvex has resources we can't match: lawyers, scientists, politicians. How do you counter their polished lies with raw truth? By making the truth undeniable, Aaron replied. At the summit, I'll channel the corruption live. Let them argue with the world's dying screams. And if they dismiss it as fabricated, Elder Miris asked. Then we go to phase 2, Aaron said, showing her his datapad. I've built a virus using Thalira's resonance patterns. If Solvex won't shut down their stations, we upload this to their network. It'll force every station to broadcast its true purpose, exposing what they're doing to the biofield. The data would flood every connected device in the system, etching a permanent, irrefutable record of Solvex's treachery. Elder Mary studied Aaron's code, her bioluminescent patterns shimmering through spectrums of cautious deliberation. This is bold, she said, her voice resonant with ancient weight. It skirts the edge of warfare we've long avoided. It's not war, Sarathan interjected, her tone fierce yet measured. It's enforced truth. Solvex hides behind tangled contracts and technical jargon. Aaron's virus merely translates their deceit into a language the galaxy can't ignore. The blood bond has emboldened you, Guardian Elder Miris, said, a faint smile tugging at her lips. Or perhaps it's this human's influence. She handed back the datapad. Very well, you have one final day to prepare. The summit convenes at dawn. Be ready to unveil Solvex's true face to our people and the watching stars. As the crowd dispersed, Aaron felt the crushing weight of his commitment. Channeling corrupted resonance would be like swallowing poison to prove its venom. Yet with Sarathan beside him, her presence a steady anchor through their bond, he dared to believe he could endure. You don't have to do this, she said softly as they walked back to her dwelling, the forest glow dimming with the night. We have enough evidence without the live display. Evidence can be debated. He countered, his fingers brushing the bite wound now aching from their probes into Solvex's corrupted stations. Experience can't. Besides, Elira would approve. She always said truth must be felt, not just heard. Your sister sounds like a sage, Sarathan said, her voice warm with respect. She was, Aaron said, a sad smile flickering. She'd have loved this, not the danger but the elegance, turning Solvex's own tools against them, forcing transparency through tech. His smile faded. She'd have liked you too. You've both got that barely leashed righteous fire. Sarathan bumped his shoulder lightly, a gesture both playful and grounding. You talk of her like she's still guiding you. Maybe she is, he said, gazing at the stars piercing Thalira's canopy. Through the fights, I choose the paths I take. Or maybe I just miss her so much I see her in everything. Both can be true, Sarathan said, her voice soft as the night. My sisters still guide me, how I wield my blade when I choose to sheath it. The dead shape us through their absence as much as the living do through presence. They reached her tree home as darkness deepened its bioluminescence, shifting to warm, sheltering tones that wrapped them in safety. But rest felt impossible, their nerves too taut. Show me the channeling stance again, Sarathan said, her tone all business. If I'm anchoring you tomorrow, I need to know every detail. They practiced late into the night, honing their bond, mapping each other's limits. The blood connection proved a lifeline, letting Sarathan sense when Aaron neared the edge of resonance overload and pull him back with a warrior's precision. "It's strange," she said during a pause, her markings flickering with introspection. "I've shared battlefield bonds with my sisters, but this is deeper, like you're weaving into my core pattern." "Is that bad?" Aaron asked, half teasing, half concerned. She considered, her gaze distant. "Not bad, just permanent in a way I didn't expect. When this is over, when you leave Thalira." "Who says I'm leaving?" The words slipped out, surprising them both. "I mean, assuming we survive tomorrow and Solvex doesn't have me assassinated, I'll need to oversee whatever agreements we secure. Make sure they hold. That could take years." "Years," she echoed, her patterns warming to a golden hue, a spark of hope in their bond. "Yes, oversight would demand a prolonged stay. Purely diplomatic, of course." "Purely diplomatic," he agreed, stifling a yawn. "We should rest. Tomorrow's going to be brutal." But in the guest alcove, cradled by Thalira's gentle breathing through the living walls, Aaron's thoughts drifted not to the looming summit, but to years on this vibrant world, building something with the fierce guardian who'd bitten him into a larger universe. Through their bond, he caught echoes of her own musings from her chamber, parallel dreams of connection. It should have been daunting, this deepening tie to someone known mere days. Instead, it felt like home, not a place, but a person who understood duty's weight and justice's cost. Tomorrow they'd face the forces that killed Elira and bled worlds dry. They'd drag truth into the light, hoping it could save Thalira from Solvex's relentless grind. But tonight, bound by blood and purpose, two warriors found solace in shared presence, a rare peace in not standing alone. Dawn brought the summit convoy, a fleet of atmospheric shuttles jarring against Thalira's harmonious sky. From a crystalline observation tower, Aaron watched when delegates from countless worlds disembarked their environmental suits, marking them as outsiders. Solvex's representatives stood apart, their sterile white uniforms, exuding the confidence of victors assured. "There," Sarathan said, pointing to a tall man with silver hair and augmented eyes. "Varen Kor, Solvex's chief negotiator. He orchestrated the Vionis collapse." Aaron's jaw tightened. The Vionis collapse, a euphemism for the systematic gutting of 7 worlds. Elira had been unraveling those deals when she died. "I know his reputation," he said quietly. "Brilliant, ruthless, and convinced turning living worlds into life pulse credits is humanity's salvation. He genuinely thinks he's the hero. The worst monsters always do." Sarathan said, her hand finding his, their shared unease pulsing through the bond. "Ready for this?" "No," Aaron admitted, a wry smile breaking through. "But Elira used to say waiting for readiness turns opportunities into regrets." A smaller shuttle landed separately, its hull marked with press credentials. A woman with sharp features and clever eyes stepped out, her recording drones already fanning out to capture the scene. "That's her," Aaron said. "Lyra Vane. She's tracked Solvex's expansion for years, one of the few who grasps the science behind life pulse manipulation." "You contacted her," Sarathan said, a statement more than a question. "Before I left for Thalira," he confirmed. "She was already covering the summit, but I ensured she'd tap into our evidence stream." He squeezed her hand. "Whatever happens in there, the galaxy will see it raw." The summit hall was a living masterpiece grown from a dozen ancient trees, their crystalline canopies forming a dome that shimmered with the crowd's emotions, swirls of anxious yellows and aggressive reds. Elder Marys stood at the center, flanked by the other mothers, their bioluminescent markings radiating ancient authority, commanding respect even from off-worlders. "We gathered to decide Thalira's future." Elder Marys began, her voice filling the hall without effort. "The Solvex Consortium proposes a partnership to integrate our world into the galactic life pulse system. All voices will be heard before we choose our path." Varen Kor rose, his augmented eyes scanning with mechanical precision. "Honored Mothers delegates, our offer is clear. Thalira holds one of the richest biofields known. With our proprietary optimization, it could yield life pulse credits to fund climate adaptation for countless refugee worlds." He gestured, and holograms bloomed, gleaming cities, restored ecosystems, smiling families, and pristine habitats. "The choice is simple: isolation versus integration, hoarding wealth while billions suffer, or sharing Thalira's gift with a desperate galaxy." The conservative Elethi elders nodded, drawn to the vision of saviors over isolationists. Aaron saw the allure. Who wouldn't want to be a hero? Furthermore, Core continued our assessments. Show minimal impact on Thalira's ecosystem. Our resonance stations enhance natural processes, not deplete them. Liar Seraphim hissed, her markings flaring angry red. Aaron stood, his heart pounding, but voice steady. I request the floor to address these claims. Core's expression remained smooth, but a slight tightening around his eyes betrayed unease. And you are Aaron Kale, independent systems analyst, he said, glancing at Elder Miris, who nodded. Recognized cousin to the Alethi through ancient blood bonds. I've spent 3 days analyzing your so-called harmony stations. What I've found should alarm everyone. By all means share, Core said, his tone slick. Though I question the credentials of one claiming kinship through myths. Aaron activated his display in the hall, filled with 3-dimensional resonance patterns. These are Thalira's natural biofield flows, recorded by Alethi technicians trained in pattern recognition. And these, the display shifted to jagged, corrupted wavelengths, are what your stations are doing. They're not harvesting excess resonance. They're rewriting Thalira's core frequencies. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Off-world delegates leaned forward, some intrigued, others skeptical. The Alethi, attuned to the patterns, gasped in visceral horror. Computer models can be faked, Core said dismissively. Got any real evidence? I thought you'd say that, Aaron replied, nodding to Terran, who stood with his team. That's why we've prepared a live demonstration. The technicians moved swiftly, setting up a resonance field at the hall's center. Seraphim took her place beside Aaron, her hand on his shoulder, where the bite mark pulsed with anticipation. What I'm about to do, Aaron announced, is channel Solvex's corrupted resonance through my nervous system. The Alethi will see the patterns directly. For off-worlders, our journalist friend Lyra Vane will broadcast my biometric readings live. Lyra nodded from the press section, her equipment locked onto Aaron's biosigns. Core's composure cracked, concern flickering in his augmented eyes. This is irregular. We can't be held responsible for. Your concern is noted. Elder Mary's cut in. Proceed, Aaron Kale. Aaron took a deep breath, nodding to Terran. The young technician activated the field, summoning a bubble of corrupted resonance from the nearest Solvex station. Pain hit like a storm, alien frequencies tearing through Aaron's nerves. His resonance markers, genetic gifts hidden for generations, flared in response, blazing against the onslaught. Where Thalira's natural energy flowed like warm sunlight, this corruption was acid rain and grinding steel, searing Aaron's nerves. Through the blood bond, Seraphim's presence anchored him, a steadfast tether in the storm. She couldn't erase the pain, but she shared it, dispersing its weight across their linked nervous systems. Her warrior's discipline held them steady as the corruption crested a tide of dissonance, threatening to drown him. The summit hall erupted in chaos. Every Alethi present saw the wrongness in Aaron's biofield patterns, screaming of slow death life force twisted into commodity. Off-worlders watched Lyra Vane's broadcast Aaron's vital signs, spiking into perilous zones, his neural activity mirroring a body under calculated torture. Enough, Varen, Core shouted, his voice cutting through the uproar. This proves nothing but this man's instability. It proves everything, Aaron gasped, still channeling the corruption, his voice raw with effort. This is what your optimization does to a living world. This is what you're inflicting on Thalira station by station. He pushed harder, letting the tainted resonance surge through him. His vision blurred, overlaid with visions from the biofield itself, forests screaming in subsonic agony, creatures fleeing corrupted zones, their natural rhythms shattered beyond repair, a paradise slowly molded into product. Show them the children, Seraphim urged, her voice a quiet blade slicing through the chaos. Show what happens to those born near the stations. Aaron shifted his focus, channeling patterns from settlements near the corrupted zones. The display filled with faint, faltering signatures, Alethi children whose resonance was stunted by Solvex's fields, forever severed from Thalira's songs unlike their parents. A wail of anguish rose from the Alethi delegates. Even the conservative elders, once swayed by Solvex's promises, looked shaken. Their markings dim with horror. Parents in the crowd wept openly, their worst fears laid bare. Shut it down, Core barked at his technicians. This emotional manipulation has gone far enough. You shut nothing down. Elder Mary's declared, her voice a thunderclap of authority. We will witness the full truth no matter how it cuts. But Aaron was nearing his breaking point. The corruption gnawed at his core patterns, threatening permanent scars. Through their bond, he felt Sarathan's rising alarm, her resolve to pull him back, warring with the need to expose everything. Then unexpectedly, Terran and his students joined the resonance field, linking one by one to share the burden across their nervous systems. The display sharpened, revealing not just the present corruption, but projections of Thalara's fate under Solvek's plan. A dead world, crystalline trees reduced to gray husks, the fungal network fractured into dying patches. The bioluminescent beauty that defined Thalara faded to a cold, optimized yield for profit. Lai's core snarled, his polished facade cracking. Projections built on flawed data. Thalara is stronger than your models claim. It's the same process that killed the Vionis worlds. Lyra Vane cut in from the press section, her voice sharp as a blade. I've tracked your operations for a decade, Core. The pattern never changes. Promise prosperity, deliver slow death, then move on while shareholders profit from the biocredits of ruined worlds. Her own display flared to life, showing planet after planet in stages of decay, mirroring Aaron's channeled truth. Everyone followed Solvex's protocol, each promised it was unique, resilient. They're all dead or dying now. The hall exploded in uproar. Off-world delegates, once skeptical, now demanded answers. The Alethi beyond words flashed patterns of rage and grief. Aaron held the channel open, letting the truth burn through him, undeniable in its raw exposure. Finally, mercifully, Sarathan pulled him out, the corruption draining from his system like venom drawn from a wound. He collapsed, gasping as she knelt beside him, her hands gentle as she checked his vital patterns. "You reckless, brave fool," she murmured, her voice thick with worry. "You nearly burned yourself out." "Worth it," Aaron managed, his breath ragged. Did they see? Did they understand? They saw Elder Mary said, approaching her presence, a quiet storm. The question now is what we do with this truth. Kor regained his composure, though his augmented eyes glowed with icy fury. What you've seen is one man's theatrical spin on data skewed by bias against progress. Solvex has acted in good faith. Good faith. Aaron struggled to his feet, supported by Sarathan's steady grip. Then explain this. He activated a final display revealing hidden protocols buried in the resonance station's lines of code, crafted to accelerate optimization. Once contracts were signed, locking Thalara into patterns reversible only at catastrophic cost. You never meant to partner with Thalara. You planned to consume her slowly enough to hide your intent until it was too late. The evidence hung in the air, a smoking gun even Kor's allies couldn't deny. Several Solvex technicians stepped back from their leader. Shock etched on their faces. They'd believed they were saving worlds, not destroying them. Even if your interpretation holds, Kor said, his voice measured but strained, the need remains. The galaxy is dying. Billions of climate refugees beg for resources. Will you hoard Thalara's gifts while children starve on barren worlds? It was his final gambit, a moral plea pitting one planet's sovereignty against the suffering of billions. Aaron saw delegates waver, torn between horror at Solvex's methods and the desperate need for solutions. There's another way, he said, his voice cutting through the tension. There always is. He looked to Elder Marys, who nodded. For 3 days, I've worked with Alethi technicians to understand Thalara's biofield. It's not a resource to extract, it's a living system to partner with. Instead of corruptive stations, we can build harmonic bridges to share regenerative patterns with other worlds. Terran stepped forward, his young face alight with passion. Our preliminary models show it's possible. Instead of draining life pulse credits, we can teach other worlds to heal their own biofields. Thalara becomes a teacher, helping dead worlds sing again. Impossible, Kor said flatly. The technology doesn't exist. Because you never sought it, Sarathan countered, standing beside Aaron, her presence fierce. You only know how to take, not give. But Thalara has always shared her gifts with those who earn her trust. The blood bonds prove it. Elder Marys raised her hands, silencing the hall. We recess for 1 hour. The mothers will deliver our decision. All delegates remain. As the crowd fragmented into heated discussions, Lyra Vane approached Aaron and Sarathan. That was extraordinary, she said, her reporter's eyes gleaming. The broadcast's already viral across 3 sectors, but Kor won't quit. Solvex has too much invested to walk away. I know, Aaron said, exhaustion hollowing his voice. The channeling had left him feeling like a struck bell, reverberating with aftershocks. But now it's in the open. Their lies can't hide anymore. Lyra studied him. You're Elira Kale's brother, aren't you? I see her in you now. She'd be proud of this. The mention of Elira hit harder than the corruption tears pricking his eyes, held back only by Sarathan's steady presence through their bond. She'd have done it better, he said, voice rough. Less drama, more data. But yeah, I hope she'd be proud. Count on it, Lyra said softly. I interviewed her once during the early Vionis investigations. She spoke of her little brother, the engineer, who saw poetry in code. Said you'd change worlds if you trusted your instincts over your analysis. She moved off, leaving Aaron with that unexpected gift. Sarathan's hand found his, squeezing gently. Your sister saw you clearly, she said. As do I. Before he could reply, Taryn approached with his students. The channeling damaged your resonance patterns, he said bluntly. We can stabilize them, but it requires trust, letting us into your biofield directly. More blood bonds, Aaron asked, weary but wry. No, a gentler healing meld, Taryn said. But your unique patterns make the outcome uncertain. Aaron looked at the young Alethi, their faces bright with concern and curiosity, the generation who'd inherit today's choices. They deserved a chance to build beyond Solvex's ruin. Do it, he said. They formed a circle, their hands hovering, biofields overlapping. Sarathan stayed close, monitoring through their bond as the meld began. It felt like cool water, soothing burns, easing the jagged tears left by the corruption. But it was more than healing. The student's curiosity probed his patterns, learning from his human-Alethi hybrid resonance. In return, they shared glimpses of Thalira's embrace, the daily wonder of a conscious world. Fascinating, Taryn murmured. Your patterns mirror ours, but shifted like an Alethi template woven through human neurology. No wonder you bridge both worlds. Is that what I am? Aaron asked, half smiling. A bridge. Among other things, Sarathan said, her voice warm with amusement. Also stubborn, reckless, and apparently allergic to self-preservation. But yes, a bridge, perhaps what Thalira intended when she gifted your ancestors. The meld finished, leaving Aaron grounded, more centered than since his crash. The students dispersed, buzzing with the implications of his hybrid nature. Across the hall, Kor watched, his expression unreadable, though his tense discussions with his team, some visibly shaken, betrayed unease. Solvex's true methods had fractured the faith of those who'd believed in their mission. He's plotting something, Sarathan said, her eyes narrowing. Men like him don't accept defeat gracefully. No, Aaron agreed, but he's lost the moral high ground. Whatever he tries now will reek of desperation. The hour passed swiftly. When Elder Marys recalled the summit, the air had shifted, cautious interest in Solvex's proposal replaced by sharp suspicion. The channeled corruption was too raw, too undeniable to dismiss. The mothers have walked Thalira's deep paths and heard her voice, Elder, Marys announced. She speaks clearly. Solvex's presence is a poison, killing her, slowly but surely. Kor rose, his tone respectful but edged. Elder Mother, such decisions can't rest on mystical consultations. The contracts are void, Elder Marys cut in, her voice unyielding. You bargained in bad faith, cloaking your intent in technical lies. But more, you misunderstand Thalira. She is no resource. She is a living entity, ancient beyond your grasp, and she rejects you. As if in agreement, the hall's bioluminescence flared, deep red, pulsing with a vast heartbeat. Every Alethi felt Thalira's fury at those who'd enslave her. Yet Elder Marys continued, we are not deaf to the galaxy's suffering, or suffering. Iron Kale's harmonic bridges teaching, not taking hold, promise. We will pursue this path with worlds who approach as partners, not predators. This is a mistake, Kor said, his voice cold as steel. Solvex has investments to protect contracts with a dozen colonial governments. We can't walk away over one man's theatrics and your primitive fears. Primitive, Sarathan's hand flew to her blade, but Aaron caught her wrist. Let him talk, he murmured. He's about to overplay his hand. Kor pulled out a datapad, his movements sharp with anger. If you reject our partnership, we'll activate protective protocols. The resonance stations were placed with your government's consent. They're Solvex property, and we'll defend them against interference. Are you threatening us? Elder Marys asked, her tone deceptively mild. I'm stating facts, Kor said. Any move against our infrastructure will meet an appropriate response. We have security forces ready. Laughter broke the tension, not mocking but pure amusement. Taryn and his students giggled, their markings flashing with mirth. What's so funny, Kor demanded. Show him, Elder Marys said. Terran activated a holographic display revealing where Solvex's resonance stations once stood now. Only pristine forest, the corrupted machinery vanished. Your stations started dissolving an hour ago, Terran said, his voice bright with glee. Right when you admitted they were built for exploitation, not partnership. The Lyra doesn't tolerate parasites, Mr. Core. She's broken your tech into raw elements, feeding them back to heal her wounds. Varen Core's face drained of color. Impossible, he stammered. Those stations were shielded against conventional interference. But the Lyra isn't conventional. Aaron said, his voice steady despite the weight of the moment. She's a living world with an immune system you just provoked. The implications were staggering. Billions of credits in equipment dissolved like an infection by a planetary consciousness that deemed it unwelcome. No bloodshed, no grand clash, just a quiet, relentless rejection. You'll pay for this, Core snarled, his composure fraying. Solvex has influence in every major government. We'll see you sanctioned, blockaded. No, you won't. Lyra Vane cut in, her voice sharp as a blade. By tomorrow, every news outlet in 3 sectors will be airing footage of Aaron channeling your corruption. The galaxy will see what Solvex does to living worlds. Your shareholders will be too busy dodging fraud investigations to care about revenge. Her smile was razor-edged, Brian. I've been gathering evidence on your operations for years, Core. This summit handed me the final piece. Your company is done. Core scanned the hall for allies but met only cold stares, even from his own team, who stepped further back, distancing themselves from his tainted cause. This isn't over, he said, his voice low with fury. You've won a skirmish, not the war. The galaxy needs resources, refugees need homes. When desperation peaks, they'll come for Thalira with or without Solvex. Perhaps, Elder Myrie said, her tone serene, yet unyielding, but they'll find us ready with bridges, not walls, partnership, not plunder. You've shown us what to avoid, Mr. Core. For that, we thank you. Her words were a dismissal sharper than any blade. Core gathered what dignity remained and strode from the hall, his dwindling supporters trailing behind. The summit pressed on without them shifting to the practicalities of Aaron's harmonic bridge proposal, technical details, diplomatic frameworks. But exhaustion hit Aaron like a tidal wave, the channeling healing and emotional toll crashing over him. He swayed, and Sarathan's firm grip steadied him. Enough for today, she said, her voice brooking no argument. The others can handle the details. She led him from the hall, ignoring his half-hearted protests. Outside, Thalira's sun sank, painting the sky in impossible hues, the forest vibrant, as if freed from Solvex's shadow. Did we really win? Aaron asked as they walked, his voice tinged with disbelief. It feels too clean, too easy. Core was right about one thing, Sarathan admitted, her markings soft in the twilight. This is just the start, but it's a damn good start. You've shown the galaxy there's a path beyond exploitation, something no one's done before. They reached a tranquil grove, bioluminescent flowers weaving a natural garden. Sarathan pulled him to sit on the soft, fungal ground, their backs against a crystalline tree. Rest, she said. Your patterns are still fragile from the channeling. I'll rest when Aaron stopped, struck by a sudden clarity. The summit, the channeling, I was so focused on stopping, Solvex, I didn't think about what's next. What do I do now? Now Sarathan's smile glowed, her markings shifting to warm gold. You keep your promise. Stay, build the bridges, teach others what you've learned. Honor Elira by crafting the world she believed in. And you? He asked, admiring her luminous gaze. What's next for the fierce guardian who bit me? Her expression turned pensive. I've spent my life fighting threats. Maybe it's time to learn how to forge connections instead. Someone's got to protect the bridge builders. They sat in easy silence as night fell, the Lyra's nocturnal symphony rising around them. Through their bond, Aaron felt Sarathan's quiet contentment, blending with his own weary relief. A connection born in violence now blooming into something unnameable, yet profound. I've been thinking, she said, breaking the quiet, about what you said, tattoos, Scar's memory. Yeah, he prompted, intrigued. She drew a small vial from her belt, its luminescent ink shimmering like liquid starlight. This comes from flowers that bloom where blood was spilled defending Thalira. My sisters and I marked our victories with it. I thought, maybe it's time to mark a different kind of triumph. Understanding dawned. You want to tattoo the bite mark? If you're willing, she said, uncertainty flickering through their bond. It'd be a reminder of how we met, what we've achieved, what we're building. Unless that's too bold. We've only known each other days. Yes, Aaron said without hesitation, though I should wait till my patterns stabilize. And I want to design something for you, too. Fair's fair. Her laugh rang out bright against the dark. What would you etch on me, bridge builder? Maybe a flame where your heart beats strongest, he said, picturing her warrior's fire, her fierce devotion to Thalira. Or circuit patterns pulsing with your biorhythms, something to show how you burn bright enough to guide others. Her markings flushed a warm rose, a rare softness in her gaze. You see me clearly for someone I've known so briefly. The bond helps, he admitted, but your passion's not exactly subtle. It's impossible to miss. Passion, she echoed, tasting the word. My sister said I was too controlled, too duty-bound to feel deeply. They'd laugh to hear me called otherwise. Maybe you just needed the right spark to loosen that control, he said. She turned her eyes luminous in the forest glow. Are you that spark, Aaron Kyle? The question hung heavy with possibility, and through their bond he felt her vulnerability. The warrior lowering her guard, the guardian daring to want more than duty. I'd like to be, he said, voice raw with honesty. If you'll let me. If we survive whatever core throws next, if the bridges hold, if the galaxy doesn't collapse. She stopped his spiraling thoughts with a finger on his lips. Too much analysis. What do your instincts say? His instincts, battered by exhaustion and looming threats, still sang that this her, them, this improbable bond, felt right. Forged in crisis, it was growing into something enduring, something that could outlast the fight. My instincts say yes, he admitted. To staying, building, seeing where this path takes us. Her smile was radiant, lighting the grove. Good. I already told the mothers you'd need quarters in the Guardian District. It'd be awkward to take that back. He laughed, the sound lighter than he'd felt since landing on Thalira. Presumptuous. I like it. They lingered in the grove as night deepened, weaving plans and possibilities. The immediate crisis had passed, but greater challenges loomed. Other corporations would rise where Solvex fell, and the refugee crisis wouldn't vanish. The harmonic bridges would need constant protection refinement. Yet for now, they'd won. Thalira was safe, the truth laid bare, and two unlikely allies had found something worth building together. Your sister would be proud, Sir Sarethan said softly. You exposed them without bloodshed, built solutions instead of just tearing down. That's wisdom. Elira always said I was too quick to see systems, too slow to see people, Aaron replied. She'd be glad I'm finally learning the difference. A soft chime from Sarethan's communicator broke the moment. She checked it, sighing. Elder Miris wants us back at the summit hall. Several worlds are asking about the bridge tech, and she wants you in the talks. So much for rest, Aaron groaned, but he was already rising. As they walked through the glowing forest, Sarethan slipped her hand into his. Whatever comes next, we face it together. The bridge builder and the guardian sounds good, doesn't it? Better than the biter and the bitten, he quipped, earning her laugh bright and unguarded. The summit hall buzzed despite the late-hour delegations eager to explore alternatives to Solvex's ruinous model. Elder Marys beckoned them to a holographic star map, displaying dozens of worlds in ecological distress. Your bridge concept has kindled hope, she said without preamble, but hope needs structure to become reality. Are you ready to lead this? Aaron studied the map, not just dying worlds, but potential networks of mutual renewal. It would take years, maybe decades, complex, perilous work. It was exactly what Elira would have wanted. I'm ready, he said, but I'll need help, Alethi technicians, off-world engineers, diplomats, and probably a legion of lawyers to keep corporations at bay. You'll have it, Elder Marys assured. Thalira commits to this path, and Guardian Sarethan has volunteered to lead security, ensuring our bridge builders work without fear. She has. Aaron glanced at Sarethan, who shrugged. Someone's got to keep you from channeling more corruption, she said. Call it enlightened self-interest. The talk stretched late, laying the foundation for what would become the Galactic Harmony Accords. But those details lay ahead. For now, Aaron stood amid allies and possibilities, his hand entwined with Sarethan's, building the future Elira died for. The bite mark no longer stung. It pulsed with warmth, a testament that profound connections could rise from conflict, blooming into something unexpected. In the days to come, he'd get that tattoo marking the moment everything shifted, and Sarethan would bear her own delicate flames across her collarbone, designed by human hands glowing with Alethi light. Symbols of a partnership bridging worlds, proof that understanding could grow from the rockiest soil. But that was tomorrow. Tonight there was work to do. Hope to nurture a new path to forge among the stars. 3 weeks later, the first harmonic bridge stood ready for testing. Aaron stood in the hybrid facility, part grown, part built, a seamless blend of biotech and off-world engineering, watching holographic displays cascade with data as Elithe technicians fine-tuned organic components. Calibrations at 93%. Terran reported his markings flickering with nervous excitement. Better than our wildest projections. It needs to be perfect, Aaron said, tweaking the harmonic stabilizers. The first bridge sets the tone for everything after. One slip and the skeptics will pounce. Stop catastrophizing, Sarathan said, entering with a delegation of off-world observers. Your sister's perfectionism is showing. Her gentle jab drew a smile despite his nerves. Over weeks, she'd mastered invoking a layer in ways that honored rather than wounded her own anxiety about the tests masked by her guardian's poise. Ladies and gentlemen, Aaron addressed the observers, slipping into his professional tone. You're about to witness the first sustainable harmonic bridge linking Thalira to Solara 7, a world ravaged by past life pulse extraction. The delegation, scientists, diplomats, and survivors of Solvex's regimes watched with expressions from hope to doubt as the bridge hummed to life. Unlike extraction tech, Aaron continued bridging, doesn't take from either world. Instead, it weaves a quantum entanglement between compatible biofields, letting them share regenerative patterns. Think of it as teaching a wounded ecosystem to heal by showing it what vitality feels like. Pretty theory, said a woman with the pallor of a low-light world, her voice laced with skepticism. Solvex promised restoration too. They delivered death. They delivered exploitation cloaked as aid, Sarathan said, her tone unyielding. This is different. Watch. The harmonic bridge activated with a chime-like hum, a melody of cosmic harmony. The air shimmered as dimensional barriers thinned, forging a corridor of possibility between distant worlds. Through the viewing portal, Solara 7's barren wasteland appeared, shattered crystalline formations, gray and lifeless. For a tense moment, nothing stirred. Then slowly color seeped into the dead crystals. Not Thalara's vibrant hues, but quieter tones, deep purples and silver blues, whispering Solara 7's lost beauty. By the void, the pale woman breathed, awe breaking through her reserve. It's actually working. The regeneration was gradual but undeniable. Faint glimmers sparked within the crystals, and the barren ground traced delicate fungal networks, reaching to reconnect with scattered life. The effect will grow stronger, Terran explained, his youthful zeal piercing his professional calm. As Solara 7's biofield recalls its original patterns, it'll generate its own resonance. Within a year, this site should sustain itself. What cost does this exact on Thalira? Another observer asked, her voice sharp with concern. Elder Miri, silent until now, stepped forward, her presence commanding. Observe. She gestured to monitors displaying Thalira's local biofield. Do you see depletion number? If anything, our resonance grows stronger through this connection. Solvex never grasped this living systems thrive through true partnership, not plunder. The demonstration ran another hour. Data streaming in to confirm the models. Skepticism among the observers melted into excitement, some already debating which worlds could benefit from harmonic bridges. As the presentation ended and delegates dispersed to study technical details, Lyra Vane approached Aaron and Sarathan. Impressive show, she said, her reporter's eyes gleaming. But the real test isn't technical, it's political. Solvex is rallying lobbyists claiming your bridges are untested, a risk to entire biospheres. Let them talk, Sarathan said, her markings steady. Evidence drowns out corporate fear-mongering. Does it? Lyra countered it, pulling out a datapad. 3 colonial governments have already backed out of bridge talks, citing stability concerns. Solvex's influence runs deep, and they don't take defeat lightly. Aaron studied the data, his jaw tightening. They're targeting the most desperate worlds first, those too broken to wait for proof. Exactly, Lyra said, hesitating before continuing. There's more. I've traced irregularities in shipping manifest military-grade equipment moving to the outer colonies. The kind you'd need to seize resources by force. The implications hung heavy. If Solvex couldn't exploit legally, would they turn to violence? They wouldn't dare, Sarathan said, but doubt shadowed her voice. The galactic community would condemn it. Aaron finished bitterly while doing nothing to stop it. It's happened before remote worlds stripped bare as bureaucrats argue jurisdiction. So what's the plan, Lyra asked. Aaron glanced at the bridge, its hum a promise of potential. We accelerate the program. The more worlds linked by bridges, the harder it is for Solvex to act without fallout. And we brace for their desperate moves. That evening in the dwelling they now shared in the Guardian District, Aaron and Sarathan sat amid star charts and defensive assessments. The scene could have been cozy if not for the grim talk of invasion routes and combat scenarios. You're brooding again, Sarathan said, not looking up from her tactical analysis. I'm planning, Aaron corrected, though his voice lacked conviction. You're brooding while planning, she said, feeling his guilt and anxiety swirl through their bond. She set her work aside, moving to sit beside him. Talk to me. He paused, sorting thoughts churned up by Lyra's warning. I came for justice, not to spark a war. If Solvex attacks because of what I've done, stop, she said firmly, taking his hand, their bond pulsing with shared understanding. You didn't create their greed or their view of worlds as commodities. You exposed their truth and offered a better way. Whatever they do next, it's on them. Knowing that doesn't ease the weight if people die because of my choices, he said, voice low. She squeezed his hand. Do you think Guardians don't carry that burden? Every choice to act or hold back has consequences. But freezing in fear helps no one. We move forward because the alternative is surrender. Philosophical for a warrior, he said, a faint smile breaking through. Long nights on guard duty give you time to think, she replied, her own smile soft. Besides, someone recently showed me that building connections takes as much courage as defending borders. An urgent chime from the comm array interrupted them. Terran's holographic face appeared, his markings flashing distress. You need to see this, he said. We've detected anomalies in the outer system ships running dark masking signatures, but their drive emissions match Solvex contractors. Aaron and Sarathan exchanged grim looks. It was beginning. The Emergency Council convened within the hour, the Nexus Grove's bioluminescence shifting to warning hues of amber and crimson. Holographic representatives from allied worlds joined, their faces heavy as they absorbed the report. 17 vessels so far, the defense coordinator said. They're holding just outside our borders, positioned for rapid deployment. Any communication, Elder Miris asked. None, the coordinator replied. No identification codes. Officially, those ships don't exist. Plausible deniability, Aaron said. If they attack, Solvex can claim rogue contractors, no corporate ties. It's an old playbook. Then we make denial impossible, Sarathan said. Full sensor sweeps broadcast to every news outlet in 3 sectors. Let them explain when their ships lighted up every screen. That could provoke them to act sooner, another Guardian warned. Or force them to back off, Elder Miris mused. Darkness serves them. Light might scatter them. The debate raged, but Aaron's attention snagged on a subtle flaw in the sensor data. The ship formations didn't align with standard assault tactics. Wait, he said, cutting through the noise. Look at their positions relative to the harmonic bridge. That's not an attack formation. It's for interference of him. Silence fell. Sarathan leaned over the display. Explain. They're positioned to create a disruption field if they sync their equipment. Aaron set his fingers, dancing over the interface to model outcomes. It won't destroy the bridge, but it'll destabilize it during key operations. Time it right, and they could trigger a resonance cascade, damaging both connected worlds and making the bridges seem dangerous. Discrediting the program without a shot, Terran breathed, his markings dimming. Clever. And harder to counter than a direct attack, Elder Miris said, her tone grudgingly impressed. How do we stop it? Aaron's mind raced. The bridge's openness to resonance made it vulnerable to deliberate interference, but that weakness could be a weapon. We don't stop it, he said slowly. We turn it against them. Sarathan remembered the summit, channeling the corruption, hurt like hell, but it exposed Solvex's truth undeniably. Her eyes lit with understanding. You want to let them disrupt the bridge and use their interference against them. Not just that, he said. I want the bridge to become a galaxy-wide stage, channeling their sabotage, so every connected world feels what Solvex is trying to do. He turned to Elder Miris. It's risky. A misstep could damage the bridges permanently. Do nothing and they damage them anyway, she replied. How long do you need? 48 hours, maybe less, with Terran's team. You have 36, Elder Miris said, rising, her presence filling the grove. Our intelligence suggests they're waiting for planetary alignment to maximize interference. Prepare your trap, Aaron Kale. If it fails, we'll have no choice but force. The next 36 hours blurred into a frenzy of technical and strategic work. Aaron and the Alethi technicians reconfigured the bridge's resonance arrays into a cosmic amplifier designed to embrace interference and broadcast its intent across the galaxy. Sarathan orchestrated security positioning Guardians discreetly while maintaining normal operations. She also trained Aaron in advanced resonance control, preparing him for the strain of channeling hostile frequencies. "You're improving," she said during a brief break, watching him redirect a test interference pattern with growing finesse. "But you still think too much. Feel the flow, don't dissect it." "Easy for you," he said, wiping sweat from his brow. "You were born to this. I'm still translating paradigms in my head." "That's your strength," she said. "You see patterns we overlook, find solutions we'd never dream of. Elira would be proud of how you've adapted." Her mention of Elira sent a familiar ache through him, softened now by purpose. "I hope so." She'd have loved this tech and biology, working as one, not exploiting each other. "She'd have loved more than that," Sarathan said quietly. "She'd have loved seeing you happy." The word stopped him. Was he happy despite the stress, the danger, the weight of responsibility? Yes. Somewhere between the bite that sparked this journey and this moment defending a dream, he'd found something he hadn't sought. "I am," he admitted. "Happy." Terrified, exhausted, one mistake from disaster, but happy. Her smile glowed, her markings shifting to warm gold. "Good. Hold that feeling. We'll need it for what's coming." The attack came at dawn on the second day precisely as predicted. Aaron stood at the bridge's primary control station, Sarathan at his side, Taryn and his team at secondary posts. Across the galaxy, representatives from dozens of worlds watched via secure feeds. "Interference pattern detected," Taryn reported, his voice taut. "They're moving into position." On the displays, Sovex's vessels broke their holding pattern, aligning with eerie precision in orbital space. No overt threats, no broadcasts, just subtle maneuvers. But Aaron saw the energy signatures building, the synchronized hum of interference generators. In minutes, they'd unleash a pulse to destabilize the bridge at its core. "All stations ready," Sarathan said, her voice steady. "We're with you." Aaron nodded, hands on the control interface, feeling her warriors calm through their bond. Around them, Alethi technicians began a low harmonic chant, bolstering his resolve. "Broadcasting now," Lara Vane's voice crackled through the comm. "Every major newsfeed in 3 sectors is carrying this live." Lara Vane's voice crackled through the comm. "The galaxy's watching." "Then let's give them a spectacle," Aaron murmured, his voice a low growl of resolve. The interference struck like a tsunami of static, jagged, where Thalira's natural resonance flowed like liquid starlight. This was broken glass and grinding steel crafted to shatter harmonic bonds and sow chaos. A lesser system would have buckled instantly, but Aaron was prepared. Instead of fighting the interference, he embraced it, channeling it into the harmonic bridge's reconfigured arrays. Pain erupted, fierce and unrelenting, every nerve screaming as hostile frequencies tore through his consciousness. But pain was just data, and data could be reshaped. Channeling to all connected worlds, he gritted out, teeth clenched. "Let them feel what Solvex brings to the galaxy." Across the bridge network, billions felt it, not the abstract concept of ecological ruin, but the visceral agony of a planet's life force twisted into commodity, its rhythms forced into patterns serving profit. The response was immediate, seismic. On a dozen worlds, crowds gathered in horrified recognition. Survivors of Solvex's optimization knew the sensation instantly. Those spared now understood their escape. "Increase the amplitude," Aaron ordered. "Show them the endgame." The display shifted, projecting not just the current interference, but its ultimate aim, the slow death of connection, living systems reduced to resources, a final silence when nothing remained to exploit. But something unexpected stirred. As the interference flooded the network, connected worlds didn't falter. They defied. Each planet's unique resonance pushed back their combined frequencies, weaving a harmony that countered the chaos. "They're fighting back," Taryn whispered, awe lighting his markings. "All of them together." Aaron felt it through the bridge, dozens of worlds united in rejecting exploitation, their biofields sinking in shared purpose. The interference meant to destroy was transformed, turned from weapon to revelation. On the command ship, Varen Kor watched his meticulous plan unravel. His interference generators strained beyond their limits. By this unforeseen resistance began to overload. Sir, his operations manager reported voice taught, "We're flooded with termination notices. Every world in the network is cutting ties with Solvex. Our contracts are worthless." Kor's augmented eyes mirrored the cascade of failure on his screens. "Abort the operation," he said, voice cold with defeat. "All ships withdraw now, but escape wasn't clean." The bridge network, fortified by collective defiance, reached out not to attack, but to mark. Each retreating vessel now carried a resonance signature, a galactic brand identifying it as part of the failed assault. "You've branded us," Kor spat over an open channel, fury icing his words. "You branded yourselves," Elder Myres replied, her voice calm but unyielding. "We only made it visible. Every world your ships approach will know what they carried, what they tried. Your tools of exploitation are now badges of shame." The channel cut, leaving silence in the bridge facility. Aaron eased his grip on the interface, hands trembling from the strain. Sarathan caught him as his knees buckled, her strength holding him upright. "It's done," she said softly, her voice a lifeline. "You did it. They did it." The network held firm, technicians weeping and laughing in equal measure, the release of surviving crisis mingling with the power of improbable victory. Displays lit up with messages from connected worlds, gratitude, solidarity, commitment to the bridge network that had proven itself under fire. "We need to stabilize the network," Aaron said, fighting exhaustion to focus. "The interference caused damage. Your part's done for now." Sarathan interrupted, her tone firm. "Rest." She half-carried him to a recovery alcove, ignoring his faint protests as she settled him onto the cushioned surface. He caught her hand. "We really did it," he said, wonder in his voice. "Not just stop them, but turn their attack into proof the bridges matter." Elira would have called it elegant justice. She'd have called it reckless madness, crowned by impossible success. Sarathan corrected, a smile softening her words. "But yes, elegant too." "What now?" he asked. "Solvex won't just swallow this defeat. Now we build on this victory," she said. "More worlds will want bridges after seeing the network hold. Solvex's influence will fade as their methods are exposed." Her fingers brushed hair from his forehead, her touch gentle. "Now we do the slow work of shaping the future Elira dreamed of." Through their bond, he felt her commitment, not just to the cause, but to him, to the partnership forged in crisis and now rooted in purpose. It was terrifying, exhilarating, exactly what he needed. "Stay with me," he said, exhaustion stripping him bare. "Just till I sleep. The resonance patterns are still echoing in my head." "Of course," she said, settling beside him, her hand resting over the bite mark that sparked it all. "But you should know, the mothers plan a ceremony tomorrow, formally naming you a bridge keeper of Thalira." "Another ceremony," he groaned. "Can't we just send a memo? The warrior who channeled a galaxy's defiance doesn't get to dodge recognition," she said, her tone mock stern. "Besides, I've designed your ceremonial markings, bioluminescent ink, to echo your resonance patterns." "Very distinguished," he said, cracking one eye to meet her gaze. "When did you find time for that?" "I'm efficient," she said, a playful glint in her eyes. "I've been planning since the first week." "You wear determination like armor." "Aaron Kyle, it deserves to be seen." Warmth bloomed in his chest, banishing the last chills of interference. "And you? What does the guardian who anchors bridges deserve?" "She has what she needs," Sarathan said softly. "Purpose, partnership, and someone who makes terrible jokes at the worst times. What more could a warrior want?" "Better jokes," he offered. "Never." "Your awful humor's part of your charm." She adjusted the blanket over him. "Sleep. Tomorrow brings new battles, but tonight we've earned peace." As exhaustion claimed him, Aaron reflected on his journey. He'd come to Thalira driven by grief and anger, seeking justice for Elira. He'd found it, but also so much more: purpose beyond revenge, connections beyond the blood bond, a future beyond mere survival. The bridge network hummed softly, its harmonies forever altered by today's triumph. Dozens of worlds sang together, their voices weaving a whole greater than its parts, a fragile, precious beginning. In her final message, Elira had written, "The universe leans toward connection, little brother. Our job is to stop those who profit from division." In an alien recovery alcove marked by a guardian's bite surrounded by the fruits of improbable victory, Aaron finally understood. Connection wasn't just tech or biology, it was choosing to build over extract, to trust over exploit, to love over fear. Tomorrow would bring ceremonies, challenges, the slow work of expanding the network while guarding it from threats. But tonight, with Sarathan's warmth beside him and the galaxy's harmony in his bones, Aaron Kyle slept soundly. The bridge builder had found his home. 6 months later, the ceremony hall thrummed with anticipation as delegates from 37 worlds gathered for what would be called the Galactic Harmony Accords. The bridge network had grown exponentially, transforming from a desperate alternative to a movement reshaping galactic views on resource sharing and planetary sovereignty. Aaron adjusted his ceremonial robe, its bioluminescent threads pulsing with his biorhythms, still feeling alien despite months on Thalira. Through vast crystal windows, he saw new bridge terminals rising their organic architecture, reaching for stars no longer distant or menacing. "Stop fidgeting," Sarathan murmured, her formal attire shimmering like crystallized starlight. "You've faced corporate armies and channeled hostile resonance. A ceremony's nothing. Armies didn't expect speeches." He shot back, but his hand found hers, their matched tattoos pulsing in sync. The ink over his shoulder, her bite turned to art, warmed at her touch. "You'll be fine," she said, squeezing his hand. "Just stick to our practice and avoid jokes about paperwork being worse than neural interference." "That's my best material," he said, grinning. "I know, that's the problem." Elder Marys took the podium, her presence silencing the hall. Time had etched her features, but not her strength. Her patterns glowed with the wisdom of navigating unprecedented change. "We gather not to celebrate victory," she began, "but to formalize hope. The Galactic Harmony. Accords are more than trade or defense pacts. They're a vow to choose connection over extraction, growth over consumption, life over profit." Applause rippled, but Aaron saw the shadows, hesitant delegates, corporate observers scanning for weaknesses, journalists like Lyra Vane, chasing the story beneath the ceremony. "Before we sign," Elder Myers continued, "we must address a revelation that redefines connection." Here it was. Aaron felt Sarathan's tension through her warrior's instincts on edge, despite the peaceful setting. They'd known this truth couldn't stay hidden. Aaron Kale, Elder Marys called, "Join me." The walk to the podium felt longer than any battlefield, hundreds of eyes tracking him, curious, suspicious, expectant. He'd faced Solvex's worst, but revealing a generations-old secret to the galaxy made his hands tremble. 6 months ago, he began, voice steady despite his nerves. "I crashed on Thalira, seeking justice for my sister. I found a chance to build her dream bridges, not walls. But I also uncovered a deeper truth about connection." He activated a holographic display, unveiling months of painstaking work, ancient records, genetic analyses, resonance patterns spanning centuries. Thalira isn't the only world with living resonance. The potential lies dormant or damaged in dozens of biospheres galaxy-wide. This isn't evolution, it's inheritance. Long ago, worlds like Thalira sent gifts, not ships or colonists, but subtle seeds, genetic markers carried by chosen individuals, spreading through humanity and beyond, waiting for the right moment to bloom. Murmurs rose. Some delegates looked skeptical, others thoughtful. A few seemed unsurprised, as if confirming long-held suspicions. "My family carries these markers," Aaron continued. "A Lyra died chasing their origins, seeking why some humans sync with living systems, while others see only resources. The answer is simple, yet profound. We're all potential bridge builders. The capacity for true connection runs deeper than anyone knew." Preposterous, a voice called from the corporate section, not core, conspicuously absent, but a subordinate. "You're suggesting an ancient conspiracy." "No," Aaron corrected, his voice firm. "I'm suggesting an ancient gift freely given by worlds that knew a truth we're only now beginning to grasp. Isolation leads to death, but connection sparks life. Leads to death, but connection sparks growth beyond imagination." Terran stepped forward, datapad in hand, his markings alight with conviction. "We've tested volunteers from every world in the bridge network. 43% carry dormant resonance markers, not enough to consciously sync with biofields, but enough to explain why some instinctively grasp living systems while others see only mechanics. My bloodline carries these markers," a delegate declared, a woman from the outer reaches whose world had recently joined the network. My grandmother spoke of dreams where forests sang. We dismissed it as folklore. Now I see she heard echoes of what we'd lost. More voices rose, sharing family tales that suddenly clicked into place. Aaron felt the hall's mood shift from doubt to wonder. This wasn't about chosen ones, but rediscovering bonds woven into the galaxy's fabric waiting to be reclaimed. The question, Elder Mary said, reclaiming the podium is what we do with this truth. Solvex and their kind would treat it as another resource to catalog, exploit, testing bloodlines, building hierarchies, dividing us into those who resonate and those who don't. That's not what connection means, Sarathan said, stepping beside Aaron, her voice fierce yet warm. The blood bond I share with Aaron began with violence, but it grew into understanding. These markers are just potential. What matters is choosing to build bridges, not walls. Elder Mary's gestured to holographic documents shimmering with splendor. This brings us to the Galactic Harmony Accords. Not mere agreements, but a vow to nurture existing connections, to teach what can be taught, share what can be shared, and guard every biofield's sovereignty while fostering voluntary bonds. The signing stretched for hours, each world's delegate weighing not just economic and defensive terms, but the philosophical core beneath. Some signed with fervor, others with measured care. A few abstained, wary of such radical change, but enough committed, more than enough. As the ceremony ended and delegates mingled, Lara Vane cornered Aaron and Sarathan near the refreshment stations. Hell of a revelation, she said, eyes gleaming with the hunger of a story too vast to contain. Ancient genetic gifts, dormant potential in half the galaxy, this changes everything. That's the point, Aaron said, exhaustion softening his voice, the day's weight settling in. Politically, socially, maybe evolutionarily, Lyra pressed. What happens when testing for markers begins? When colonies see higher percentages? When corporations try to weaponize them? That's why the Accords have safeguards. Sarathan cut in. Testing is voluntary results, private unless chosen otherwise. Any attempt at marker-based discrimination means expulsion from the network. Pretty words, Lyra said. Will they hold? They will, Aaron said with quiet resolve. The alternative is a return to extraction and death. Most worlds have seen enough of that, and those that haven't. He gave a grim smile. The network's proven it can defend itself, Lyra scribbled on her pad. On defense, any comment on rumors Varancor's gone underground that Solvex is turning militant? No comment, Sarathan said, her tone flat. But the bridge network stays vigilant against all threats, corporate or otherwise. Right, Lyra said. I need to file this story. The galaxy's waiting to hear about its hidden heritage. She paused. For what it's worth, Lyra would be proud. You've built what she dreamed. As Lyra left, Aaron and Sarathan slipped to a quiet balcony overlooking Thalira's forest. The sunset painted the canopy in impossible hues, the bridge network's distant hum, a subtle harmony in the air. Did we do the right thing? Aaron asked, voice low. Revealing the markers might spark more chaos than it solves. Truth always stirs trouble, Sarathan said, leaning against him, their warmth pushing back the evening chill. But lies breed worse, just slower. Better to face the storm head-on than let it fester in shadow. When'd you get so philosophical? He teased. When a certain engineer crashed into my world and upended everything I knew about protection and purpose, she said, her smile soft. Though I still say biting you was entirely reasonable. Never said it wasn't, he replied, grinning. Just painful. You recovered well enough to turn pain into art. Her fingers traced his tattoo through his robe, a gentle touch that warmed the mark. Though I still think you should have let me add more flair. It's perfect as is, he said firmly. A reminder of where we started and how far we've come. They stood in companionable silence, watching the forest's bioluminescence awaken with night. Through their bond, emotions flowed: satisfaction at the day's triumph, concern for future trials, and beneath it all, the steady glow of a partnership born from unlikely roots. I need to tell you something, Sarathan said finally. The mothers offered me a new role, ambassador guardian for the bridge network. It means traveling, forging connections on other worlds, being away from Thalara for long stretches. Aaron's heart tightened, but he kept his voice even. That's an incredible role. You're perfect for it. You balance the warrior and the builder. I haven't accepted, she said. Why not? She turned to face him, eyes luminous. Because it'd mean leaving you. Despite my efforts to keep things professional, I've grown attached to the strange human who resonates with impossible frequencies and makes terrible jokes at the worst moments. Attached, huh? A smile tugged at his lips, softening the moment's weight. That's awfully sentimental for a guardian. Shut up, she said, mock glaring, her patterns betraying amusement. I'm trying to have a moment. Sorry, he said, grinning. Please have your moment. The point is, she said, I won't take it if it means losing. Us, Seraphim warrior guardian of Thalira, speechless. He teased, taking her hands. You don't have to choose between duty and desire. Take the role. The network needs someone who understands both fight and connection. And I'll come with you. She blinked. What the bridges need? Constant tuning. New worlds need training and resonance tech. And someone's got to keep you from biting other engineers, he said, grinning. Besides, I'm used to wandering. Might as well do it with purpose. And you'd leave Thalira after all we've built, she asked, disbelief mingling with hope. We built it together, he said, touching the bite mark thoughtfully. And it's meant to spread, not stay still. Elira said home isn't a place but a purpose shared with those who matter. It took me a while to get that. Her patterns danced through emotions too complex for words. Joy, uncertainty, fierce protectiveness. If you're sure, she said finally. I'm sure, he said. One condition, though, no more biting. We'll need other ways to make first contact. Her laugh rang out bright against the darkening sky. No promises. Some moments call for dramatic gestures. Then I'll get better armor, he shot back. Terran interrupted, his excitement barely contained. Sorry to intrude, but you need to see this. The Elytic sector sent a transmission. 3 worlds want to join the network at once. They've watched our success and are ready. 3 at once, Aaron whistled. That'll stretch us thin. We'll manage, Seraphim said, already in planning mode. If we coordinate with the Sci-Lara 7 team, they can handle initial mapping while we focus on bridge construction. I've run compatibility analyses. Terran added, his markings vibrant. All 3 show strong integration potential. One even has records of ancient proto-Elythi contact, more genetic markers in their population. More markers, Aaron asked. It's like the galaxies remembering how to connect. Terran's enthusiasm was infectious. Exactly. The patterns everywhere now that we know to look. They spent an hour diving into data planning, 3 new bridges, hundreds of technicians to train thousands of lives to change as planets relearn their songs. It was daunting, exhilarating. As the session wound down, Elder Marys appeared at the balcony. I thought I'd find you here, she said. The reception's ending, but one matter remains. She produced a crystalline device pulsing with soft light. Aaron Kale, for your service to Thalira in the bridge network, the mothers grant you a rare honor, a heart crystal attuned to your resonance. Wherever you go, it'll guide you back. Aaron accepted it with trembling hands, its warmth sinking with his heartbeat. Thalira's consciousness no longer alien but welcoming. I'm honored, he managed. Though I'm not sure I deserve. Deserve isn't the word, Elder Marys interrupted. You've earned it through choice and action, as has Seraphim, who'll need her own crystal as our voice among the stars. She offered a second crystal flickering, Zadi the Seraphim's biorhythms. Ambassador Guardian Elite, a fitting title, don't you think? You knew I'd accept, Seraphim said, taking it. I knew your purpose would align with your heart, Elder Mary said, smiling. You leave for the Elytic sector in 3 days. Prepare well. She left with her usual dramatic flair, leaving them with their crystals and the weight of change. 3 days, Seraphim mused. Not much time to wrap up 6 months of work. We'll manage, Aaron said. We always do. He held up his crystal, its light dancing across his palm. One thing before we dive in, what about that tattoo I planned for you, the one you called mysteriously secretive? Her curiosity sparked despite her casual tone. Yes, finished it last week, he said, grinning. Terran helped with resonance reactive ink. It's ready when you are. What's the design, she asked, intrigue breaking through. You'll see, he said. Flame patterns that shift with your emotions, a small bridge symbol linking to mine across any distance. Too sentimental, perfect, she said softly. Tonight, if you want a pre-departure ritual. Or call it what it is, she said, stepping closer, their bond humming. A promise. That evening in their shared dwelling's quiet, Aaron applied the resonance reactive ink to Seraphim's collarbone, flames dancing with her breath, entwined with delicate bridges, pulsing in time with his own tattoo. Does it hurt? He asked, focusing on precision. Less than biting, she teased, then gasped as the ink bonded with her biofield. Oh, that's intense. Good intense or bam? He asked, pausing. Good. Definitely good, she said. It feels like the network singing through my skin. That's what it is, he said. The ink holds traces from every connected world. You'll carry the network with you. She fell silent, absorbing the weight. You don't do anything halfway, do you? Learn from the best, he said. Someone told me dramatic gestures have their place. Wise woman, she said, eyes gleaming. You should marry her. His hand stilled. Was that a proposal? A suggestion, she said, turning to face him, her patterns blazing with resolve. Unless you want formal, Aaron Kyle, bridge builder, survivor of questionable first contact. Will you bind your life to mine in the ways of your people and mine? Yeah, he said, no hesitation. Though human weddings don't usually involve biting. We'll blend traditions, she said, smiling. Something to honor both with just enough drama. I love you, he said, the words flowing effortlessly raw and true. Completely illogically despite your dental tendencies. I love you too, she said, drawing him close, despite your awful jokes, your tech obsession, your refusal to rest when there's work. Their kiss was electric, the blood bond amplifying every pulse of joy, desire, and connection. Her new tattoo glowed between them, a constellation of their shared story flames and bridges, alight with their intertwined fates. 3 days, Aaron said as they parted breathless. Think we can plan a wedding in 3 days? We sparked a revolution in less, she said. How hard could it be? Harder, as it turned out. The next 3 days blurred with preparations, departure logistics, and a ceremony that ballooned from a simple hand-fasting to a galactic event. Word of the Bridge Network's architect and Thalira's first ambassador guardian marrying drew crowds. This is your fault, Sarethan teased amid another wave of well-wishers. You had to be charming and inspiring. You're the one who demanded drama, Aaron shot back. Besides, it's good politics, a cross-cultural, wedding screams alliance. I hate when you're right, she said. No, you don't. No, I don't, she admitted, laughing. But I'm supposed to. The ceremony held at dawn in the Nexus Grove with the Bridge Network's harmony as backdrop wove human and Alethi traditions into something new. Aaron wore robes blending earth motifs with bioluminescence. Sarathan's attire, part armor, part gown, radiated beauty. They vowed partnership in exploration and protection in both languages. And yes, Sarathan bit him gently ceremonially on the hand. Now we match, she whispered, their marked hands joined before the crowd. Elder Miris bound them with living vine to grow into their ship as a lasting emblem. Laravan captured it all, crafting headlines about love-bridging species. But for Aaron, the true moment came later, alone in their dwelling possessions, packed, their future charted in stars and possibilities. Ready, Sarathan asked for travel marriage, whatever Solvex threw next. He thought of Elira, how this journey began with loss and a hunger for justice. She'd have loved this, not an end, but a beginning. Her brother wed to an alien warrior, weaving connection across the galaxy. I'm ready, he said, meaning it. They left the Lyra at Zenith, their ship harmonizing with the Bridge Network. Behind them, a transformed world, ahead planets waiting to sing again. Where first husband, Sarathan asked, their tattoos glowing in the ship's soft light. Wherever the network needs us, wife Aaron said, grinning at the titles. Though I'd vote for worlds with no biting policies for safety. Coward, she teased, plotting their course. Pragmatist. It's why we work, you think I act, and we both survive, maybe save the galaxy. Thalira faded into the distance, but Aaron felt no loss, only expansion. Home wasn't behind them. It was in their bond, their shared purpose. The bite that began as violence was now connection. The quest for justice, a creation of something greater. The galaxy awaited vast with promise. We never designed that wedding tattoo, he said, as hyperspace blurred reality into light. Next planet, Sarathan promised, her hand finding his. Something to show how a bite becomes a bond, a scar turned to art. Exactly, he said. It's what we do, take damage and make it beautiful. The ship sang agreement, carrying them toward the unknown. Behind, the Bridge Network pulsed with life. Ahead, a future to be written in resonance and improbable love. It was, Aaron thought, the ending Elira would have wanted, not an end, but a transformation, wounds into wisdom, isolation, into connection, two souls finding home among the stars.